All right, let's jump right into it. So, boom, there we go. We got that sort of sell down happening in DXY. So, geez, it's been an absolute hassle going through this period here, and even just yesterday, sort of like you could see that little sort of fake out move where it sort of jammed back up to the top side here. So I'll sort of unpack a little bit of sort of what was actually happening yesterday because, it was very sort of dodgy. I mean, look, this is what the FX market is. They like to sort of, it looks like it's going this direction, people take their positions, shoots up the other direction, people don't know what the hell's going on. They get stopped out of positions because they don't know how to sort of place their stops. They don't trade their specific market or instrument enough to know how these things specifically work. They get blown out and then they go like, well, the market's impossible. Why would you do this? But once you know these things and you know that they're bound to sort of do these dodgy ass little moves, you can kind of account for it. It's still pretty tough when you're sort of trading this thing, and you know what I mean. Look, we're going down with DXY, and this is the direction. Obviously, I've been trading it. It's the calls I've been making sort of through this whole sort of period. But obviously yesterday it was just riding up to the top side. After that early morning sort of drop down, like you can see. So just bear with us one sec. You can see this moment here. This is a weekly open. We had that quick sell down and then just started rocketing up to the upside. But this is why I sort of like to sort of keep the drawings on the charts because look at where it rejected from. And this is the thing, it's not rocket science. We've seen, if I drag this one, drag this over here, you can see originally this is how we started to form this area. It was a very known support area. It was that resistance from early last week. It was resistance going up through here, danced around a bit. Come Friday, after we had that big rally back up, rejected back down from there. So there was a very high chance that this was going to sort of react into this area, and it did again. And you can see that this was actually not even just that sort of like a reacted here. This was the top that absolutely led to this complete sort of meltdown. Quite a substantial sort of sell down coming down through here. So, you know what I mean? This is an absolute golden area for the last 2 weeks of trade, or week and a half of trade or so. Probably about 2 weeks or so now, going back here. So where's that? Back to Thursday. Yeah, so 2 weeks or so of trade through there. That's just been an absolute golden swing area. And you can see finally, bang, it got smacked through here. It did have the help of a little bit of their sort of ISM data overnight as well, which kind of really put the nail in the coffin for it and really got that sort of drop down. But this is the thing, trade up into this area, take your positions, put your entries in at that point. In perfect world, I have to admit I got in a little bit earlier for my sort of basically dollar short position. So I was long on the Aussie. I was buying gold and silver, and so I was like moving up through here, and I was just like, oh geez, what the hell's going on through here? So again, I'll get into it in a moment and unpack that, particularly gold and silver, because they were very very tricky little trades sort of through there. But look, we got the break. We got quite a substantial sell down to come through here. So now we've got to look at where we are. So, I mean, if we drag this through here, this isn't a perfect sort of channel because obviously we saw this little sort of fake out area move to the top side first. So, okay, I'm back. So yeah, so we're seeing sort of, it could be a little bit of a sort of, a confluence coming in here because we know that this, particularly through here, is quite a sort of strong support area. A little bit lower than where we had that CPI drop off, but again, look at where it has valued it in the past and how many times it has valued. Probably if we put it on the daily, show it a little bit better without going too crazy. But you can see these have been very strong areas where buyers have thought, you know what, give me a shot to buy it here. Bang, I'll buy it up. Bang, I'll buy it up. Bang, I'll buy it up. You know what I mean? Again, this side here, it danced around it a bit here. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel with these things, but you just need to be aware of how has the market valued these particular products in that previously, sorry. So look, there has been times where it has sort of bounced from the zone. We saw the CPI push up from here as well. So the difference with this time though is that we've broken this support. And this is the big support. And this is, if you look at what I did on the weekend wrap, on the weekend video, I was saying that, look, you've come here December, you've revisited it in March, you've revisited it in May. These are a couple of months apart. And then all of a sudden we're revisiting it a week later. We're revisiting it 2 days later. It was getting closer and closer. So now you got to look under the conditions. The conditions now that we're coming into this horizontal support, well, we've also got all the bolster of the people that were trying to sort of trade this by the sort of support to get a continuation for this larger channel to be moving back up over here. They're going, well, I was buying it, I was loading up. There was a big congestion through here. As you can see, this is the little triangle that I sort of said we were looking to trade over the weekend. And I said, bang, if we break out of here, we're going to see a fast move. And this is what we saw, and just charged down here. So look, I would say that certainly this morning we've had a little bit of a sort of sell down just on open with DXY. I don't think we're going to get that sort of fake out move. If we go back onto the 4 hour, it'll sort of show it probably a little bit better. So the thing is, price action yesterday, sold down, came back up here, sucked in people, played with people, said, okay, or maybe DXY is moving back up, maybe it's going to hold this upper channel, and then it slammed down. I think that moment's passed. Like, the market's aware that, the people are trying to suck people in and sort of pull these hey, it's moving this way, and then jam it down the other direction moves. But this, if you look at this, very reminiscent of this move up here. And this is what I'll say. Trade a couple of things. Don't need to trade everything in the world. Oh, where are we? Over here, we can see this was moving down. And what did it do? Just before it actually sort of melted down further, shot up to the top side and then slammed down. And we've seen that sort of continue down there. This is on the daily, but on the 4 hour, we're seeing something very similar with yesterday's price action. It's moving down, comes out of this channel. Like, here's a sort of resistance, here's a resistance. Should have sort of stopped here, but it pushed up. So anybody that was sort of like, with their technical stops there, they've been hit with their stops, has dragged in some new longs, and then it slammed it down to the bottom side there. So look, I think sort of obviously, it's expected that we see a little bit of a sell-off and continuation of this move from last night. There's always the possibility that we do break through here now and get sort of like one of these kind of, where are they? What I kind of call a waterfall sort of move to the bottom side. So let me just find where this, a curve like this. So when you get these bottoms, you can either get it sort of like this, which would be like a sort of, smaller moves, goes little, rounded, and then sort of can move back up. Or alternatively, you can get them and they actually sort of do more of this kind of shape. And they'll do sort of a bit more of a, what I call a sort of waterfall kind of bottom. So there's always the possibility it goes dribble, and then just does another leg down. We are sort of seeing it sort of break down a little bit at the moment. So, as I said, coming into this support this time, I think, it's tried to suck out, it had its buyers, but you've got all this extra sort of volume behind it at the moment from the people that said that were trying to sort of trade this channel. It didn't work. We saw it melt down. I would say there's a good chance, particularly with so much US data coming out this week, that we sort of see more of a break to the bottom side here. I think this support is going to give way very soon. I think that, you know what I mean, it's had its chance. And now we've got to sort of see where the buyers or how keen the buyers are. So underneath here, as you can see, this would be kind of like, the plan would be find the break, let it melt down a little bit, take out all these bits. It'll add to the liquidity. That's why I've got this alarm here. It'll come back up here. If we see a rejection as it comes up to the top side here, that's the time to pile on and really go hard to sort of get this leg down here, because this is going to be your money maker leg. Like, this is what I've been saying each time in that. You've got 3 parts to each move. You've got the initial sell down, you find support. You come up, you find resistance. This is the leg in which you want to sort of determine the strength of the move. Do we do a double bottom? I don't think this time. I think we go through and then we reset again. We move from here. From here, we move up. We find resistance. So like this, we had this third leg here is this first leg here. Second leg to come back up to find resistance. Second leg to come up to find resistance. Resistance equal to the sort of those previous supports. And then we look to move down. Do we do a double bottom here or do we go further and go down over here? You can see where my price target is for this move on a breakthrough here. So once we sort of had this alert coming up here, we just let it melt down as much as you like. You're going to see Aussie push up a little bit. Gold's really springing back to life. So you're going to see that sort of move up a little bit there as well. These kind of things, let them break, let them sort of chill out a bit, and then we look to sort of really pile on once we get into this leg coming down here, because this is going to be the one that doesn't really care so much, and it won't be sort of playing any games, because we've got the confirmation, we've got the back test, and now we've got the sort of the money maker leg coming down through here. So look, it's played out very well. Triangles broken to the bottom side. Look, this thing could obviously, could hold this support here. So this is my plan as I've just laid out, but you got to be aware that, it hasn't actually broken here yet. The alert hasn't gone off. So it could find some buying here. We've seen it do it previously. So we could see some buying hold in through here and, stuff around through these levels here. But I think ultimately it's just biding time. So any dips down in, say, Aussies or metals, I think are going to be bought up, because I think this is the direction we're going with US dollar to the bottom side here. So yeah, that was a great play overnight. And as I said, I do all these things in the sort of weekend videos, so you can sort of see the thoughts and the plan for the week before we get into it, and then we can really sort of attack it as the market sort of kicks off on the Monday mornings. All right, so flip on to gold. So I'll do gold, and also I'll have a look at silver as well, because I trade both of them, and I typically have only ever sort of charted the gold on here. But so if you look at the weekend video again, I was saying that, look, this is a support area. We've seen it hold, and here it came down, and particularly yesterday, it did this little sharp move down here, and then very quickly reverted back up. Look, it took a little while to sort of convince to move back up. But the point is that, as I said on the weekend video, that this is the area that it needed to hold, and you can see that come the close, it was unable to get through there. Yes, it pushed down here, but that's just to get some stops. That's to grab some liquidity. This drags in shorts, and then the shorts are going, yep, look, we're broken here, we're coming down, and it was quite a violent move. It was about 3:30, so it was just sort of like moving towards the end of Asia session. There was no reason for it. And this is the thing, I was watching it, I'm like, you see these sharp moves, like I'll put it on the sort of lower time frame. Where were we? So this is the move here. So we got a little move up early, and then a really violent move, actually a little grind down here, but this one here was just a violent move down. It came, if we look very quickly, and look at this move here. It was on a 15-minute. Looks like it was kind of holding, coming up, and then just out of nowhere, 22 down to 15. Yes, it's only a $7 move, but it's enough to take out anybody that had their stops here. And so my idea with this is to sort of think that, look, I'll put it on the 4-hour. The price action on Friday was that of PCE. And that's what, like, gold had sort of been held support, moved up through here, it's consolidating through here, and broke to the top side here. And that was sort of like it was a data-based move. Like, PCE came in a little bit weaker, dollar sold off, gold rallied up. But then out of nowhere, coming into the end of the session, end of the month, it just went slam and came down to the bottom side here. So you got sort of like anybody that sort of like, is trying to buy this base in here. Like I've been trying to sort of position myself, but I'm in and out. This is where my style of trading works, because I'm not trying to buy some grandiose sort of position here and then take it all the way to the thing. I'll get in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Yes, I miss the sort of the massive moves. I mean, I bought gold at 1980, never came back to it. I bought Aussie at sub 64 a couple of weeks ago. You know what I mean? Never came back to it. So these things could be like the mega holds, but that's just not my style. And you got to trade in your wheelhouse. So anyway, back to this. The people that are sort of trying to buy this base around here, they're like, okay, cool. We've got the lows. We know it's a strong area of support. We've seen it time again. Comes down here. Look, wow, third time, even coming up over here. So, they're thinking if this goes down here, I mean, if you ignore these candles, like, you know, because obviously part of yesterday, there's no point me sort of blocking it on the screen. But yeah, if you ignore these candles here, because in theory, these ones haven't happened yet. So you're just looking at this move down here, big sell down, little rally, big sell down. Okay, it's taken out the lows, taken out these lows, these lows, these lows, big candle moving down. Yep, cool, that's it. We're going down further. Boom. And what does it do? It hits all the stops, all the people that have been trying to find the lows here, trying to find the lows here, trying to find the lows here. It takes them all out. Not only that, it drags in new shorts. It drags in people that are like, yes, here we go, I've been shorting this and I'm going to ride it all the way down, or people that got short in this area, I'm taking the next leg down, or people that buy the sort of, you know, the short position here on the break, and then they're like, yep, cool, and what does it do? Jams up the other side. This is a short squeeze, these kind of moves. So it's like sort of, you know, basically hitting the market on two fronts. So we've seen quite a big sort of bounce back with gold here. So really, it's you know, it's still ranging as far as I'm concerned, because you know it's we saw that this area up here is 2361 to 2360, you know, low 60s over here is quite a strong area of resistance. We've seen that, you know, time and time again. Well, you know, last week when we tried to rally up, Friday when we tried to rally up, and market sold it down quite violently from this point here. But apart from it sort of being end of month flows, there was no reason for this to sell down here. You know, nothing changed. I mean, you literally just had data out that supported it to kind of move up higher. But you just had DXY come off a support area, and that rally up dragged in a bit of money. And as it dragged in a bit of money, metals got hammered. And, you know, as we know, gold's been trading quite heavy the last couple of weeks. So for now, we can sort of we can delete this because this has had an attempt to come down, had a second attempt to come down, and it hasn't done it. So we can get rid of this because the bear flag, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of obsolete. If you do get a breakdown to the bottom side now, I'd be saying, look, if you want to look for a measured move, that's your measured move now. If you're going to get a break, that's your measured move, which lines up pretty much perfectly with the bottom end strong supports. That's kind of where you're really looking for. I mean, a rough sort of thing, but that's the idea of where you'll be looking if you're looking for a break, and it does actually break and hold to the bottom side now. I don't think that bear flag is really still valid. Excuse me. So where to from here? Look, my feeling is obviously long with metals because I think US dollar is going to sort of sell off. Let's clean up the chart a little bit, see what we can do. Okay, so we had this sort of falling support that's held, this falling resistance, and that's popped through now. So what we really want to do for topside moves at the moment is get up above these areas here. You've got a lot of the market that's been shorting or getting short around this area, around this area, around this area. Same sort of deal. Once we get up above here, that's why we've got the alert there, taking out the weekly wick highs, we're going to see a lot of the short positions liquidate and sort of move up. And that's going to add to the sort of buying pressure moving up to the top side. So let's clear this up. I can redo these lines so we can have a bit of an idea moving forward. So yep, that's kind of still valid. All right, so we're seeing it sort of like, you know, grind up here through a little bit. As I said, we've got a bit of data coming out this week. So we've got ADP on Wednesday. NFP is really the big one, which is going to be the mover for this week. And we've got FOMC next week. So with those big bits of data coming, I think there's a good chance that we sort of may not necessarily see any major breaks prior to that. Or if we do, I don't think we're going to be seeing like any sort of super runs to the top side here. I am positioned long for metals. But I do think, you know, it's going to be pretty tough to get through this area. So if we sort of look for a move through here, potentially retest this level here, a little push down again, you'll get some of the market that have sold these areas, go, yep, I think we're doing, yep, we're just going again. And then we get another one, and then we sort of push through here. So I think this is what we're kind of looking at for gold moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if they definitely sort of like to sort of just take out any sort of potential stops around this area here. But I think sort of maybe top side would be maybe a sort of 2370s, 2370s. I don't think you even get to 2380 necessarily in this first little wave of move here. Once you get data moving, I think we might sort of get a little bit more of a push going through here as well. Just I didn't actually sort of call. I actually called on a lower time frame on silver, but having a look at this now as well. Again, these are the ones that we love. So this here. So here you go. You got your lows and your highs. Sorry, yeah. So neg D. So bang. We've seen that as the buying pressure is coming in higher, price was moving down like this. And as I said, the higher the time frame, the better for these kind of reactions. And you can see again how the negative divergence works so well. This isn't really such a great indicator for tops and bottoms. It's one thing that I see just come up time and time again. Higher the time frame, longer you're going to hold for the move. So as I said, I was buying gold and silver yesterday based off my weekend plan, which was the fact that we didn't actually get a break to the bottom side, or where we closed on Friday, was still inside the zone. And a failed breakout is as strong an indicator, in my opinion, as an actual breakout. Because either you're going or you're not. And if you haven't gone, well, you're going to see people go, well, we haven't broken out. I'm going to take some risk off. And if they're shorting it, well, that's what they're doing. They're closing their shorts. So yes, we got metal sort of springing back to life. It has sort of a little bit of a slowdown here. You got to remember that Asia session really doesn't offer a great deal for gold. So you get a little bit blown away by this kind of recovery move, mainly through US last night, but it was grinding up a little bit sort of through European hours as well. So I think if we get a move to the top side here, take out the wicks from 55, we'll be looking up to test 61, maybe a sell down, a little bit of a chill through European again. We go through 61 on a second time, then I'm looking for a 10, 15 buck move up to sort of say mid 70s before we sort of find a little bit more sort of selling coming in, and then sort of like you'd be looking a bit of a sell down here, and then potentially this kind of move here. But I think this is probably more just range through this level for now. But I mean, first things first, take out the wick from last night, so 54, $3 off now, and then we got to sort of really sort of tackle those highs from last week, which I think are going to sort of offer a little bit of resistance there. Quickly flick on to silver and that, because same sort of deal with silver. As I said, sort of, this is why we mark these things out. These are the previous weekly wick highs going way back. And it sort of really sort of held for the support. If you see, this sort of carries all the way through here. Perfect. And it offered a little bounce up move through here. So as I said, I was buying silver yesterday, I was buying gold. Both of them have sort of sprung back to life. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to be getting a breakout to the top side now, but it just means for now we're failing to break down. And if you fail to break down, well, that means you're back into this zone. So realistically, top side moves here, you can see a little completion of this little drop down candle. Silver's been actually underperforming gold of the last sort of couple of days, past couple of sessions. So, that's why you're seeing gold sort of spring back. Silver's still got a little bit of work to make back Friday night sell down. That's about still 60 points off there. But for now, I would say that, yes, this range is still sort of continuing. So I'll take this one, so I do. There's a little bit of a sort of falling resistance that, you could probably sort of see price reacting with here. So I wouldn't be surprised, as I said, with gold, a little bit of an upside, and then it could potentially sell down with silver there, which would be a bit of a confluence of this sort of falling resistance, plus this little horizontal area that we've got marked out through here. Take this price target out, because this price target was achieved. So that was up here, which obviously we took out, which is good. But so we get a bit of a clearer look about sort of where we're moving forward. We got RSI sort of tipping up a lot through here. So I'll show this actually just because I did send this to a mate yesterday, and this was this move coming down through here. This last sell down here, as I told you, it was quite a violent sort of sell down, but again, we're sort of seeing lower lows, as I said, quite a strong sort of lower low there. But at the same time, this is what we were seeing through here. And as I said, when it doesn't match up, that's when you're going to get your reversals. And look at the move back through here. So it did take a little while. It was quite frustrating, actually, watching us grind and grind and grind all the way up through here. But, for the most part, it's traded quite well. As I said, I think we've still got a little bit of upside to go with silver here before we see a bit more of a sort of profit taking. This is a little bit, I mean, this is only a 15-minute here, but of course the 15-minute work down here. But you want to see this buying pressure push up here to see a little bit more of a continuation up to the top side here. So we're seeing DXY sort of do a small little rally at the moment, but again, I just imagine the session after getting quite sort of strong moves overnight, I imagine to be fairly subdued. So I'm not expecting a great deal from a few of these markets. All right, flip across, we got Aussie. This was just playing around with one, I think they're called Garley patterns or something like this. I think this is how it works, but I mean, if that were the case, then, that's played out very well and sort of clicked in now. Excuse me. So this is the chart that I'm more sort of trading off with Aussie here. You can see that we're sort of coming back up into this known sort of resistance area. They've got these ones marked out here. We're finding a little bit of selling early, as we're seeing sort of DXY sort of find a little bit of sort of buying pressure. Not to worry. I don't think Aussie has got too much to worry about with this. If we chuck this onto the daily, we can see that this pullback here, and this is what I was saying over the weekend, this is why it's important to sort of, make those weekend plans and really sort of get in there and have an understanding about what's happened and recap the whole week and work out a plan for the week. But we've seen this little double bottom area here, and then yesterday, obviously, it moved up early, wherever it was. So it moved up early, came down, grabbed liquidity, and then shot up to the top side. So as of right now, look, this hasn't broken this little zone here. As you can see down here, the failure to break down, even though it had the wick on the other side of it, failure to break down equals move to the other side. Same with this lot here. I mean, it's only a couple of hours into the session. We've got 20 hours left on this candle. This is a daily candle. So it's not to sort of say this isn't going to break out, but as you can see yesterday, it wasn't a clear breakout. And so we're not seeing clear continuation straight away. We're seeing the market think about it a little bit. So, we could see a little bit of a cooling off here, a little bit of a sort of pullback. But again, I think these pullbacks are going to be bought up. So if we come down here, where are we at? 55. I don't look, honestly, we could get a pullback to 55. I'd be surprised if we came back that far. But, and then sort of moving forward, I would say potentially even just these sort of little wicks over here would be offering little buying areas. Where's the box? If we get a pullback to 55, I'd be surprised. This is quite strong. I think US dollars in a very sort of precarious position. I would say sort of maybe a pullback where we at. Maybe a pullback to 80 potentially. What are we at? 89 at the moment. Yeah, I would say so. Certainly in this area here. Look, I'll put this as a buy zone through here. I don't think the pullback's going to be much at all. I think Aussie's very much in a position that we're going to be seeing a sort of a blow to the top side. I think we've sort of got some big breakouts coming for Aussie coming soon. I mean, we've seen copper produce, very well. We've seen equity markets rip to the top. Gold's been hammering. Aussie has, stayed alive, but it hasn't really produced. We've got the rate decision coming up in 2 weeks. We've got CPI that came in hot. They're always constantly saying we're waiting for the data. Well, there was the data. So, time to put their money where their mouth is, because at the moment it's just a lot of sort of a talk, always with the RBA anyway. Look, anyway, that's the case. If we get any pullbacks to the 80s, I'm going to be buying it again. If we get a break of these highs over here, I think that's going to be a little confirmation to see us sort of blow to the top side. This is going to happen, as I said, same time that you see DXY. I know Aussie's not part of the DXY. It's going to see same time as DXY break its supports that we were looking at a second ago. So if I put it over here, we have a look at 2 charts, put it side by side here. No, doesn't seem to be wanting to work. That's all right. No. Yeah, whatever. Point being is, where DXY, we have a look over here, comes through its supports down here, I feel that'll be the same time we see Aussie run through its supports. this little push up through here will be the same as a pullback to test the top side over here. So you probably get more like something to this effect. That's how I'd be looking to play Aussie. So back to sort of 80s, I think, would be a buy. Look, it could come back deeper. I mean, as I said, this is in a range. It hasn't actually broken out yet. So confirmation is obviously once we take out these wick highs and move over like sort of 67, 67.15 or whatever it is. But we know that, 30s to 40s are a big sort of sell point for Aussie, a chance to push back, and then that's this leg that you really want to sort of hammer it on. But at the moment, I think a pretty sort of chilled Asia session's probably on the cards. A little bit of a sort of a reprieve from last night's move because it wasn't a too bad move from the lows yesterday. I think we got down to 39, was it? Yeah, 32. I bought at 39 last night. So, it's moved up 60 points or so. So it's about 1% move overnight. So it's not too bad from its lows. But yes, we'll have to sort of wait. We've got the alert set, but that's how I'll be playing the Aussie. Okay, fly through these ones because this one's pushing on a little bit. Copper, look, basically, again, this is the plan that we get this little sort of rounded bottom here coming through here. If we do get a push down to this main trend, that's when I'll be sort of loading up a little bit. But for the time being, I think this is probably more what we're going to be seeing, a little bit of this sort of action, sideways grind through here, rounded bottom, re-attack on the highs up over here. These are going to come in line with major breakdowns in DXY and breakouts in Aussie to the top side. China, flip across again, refuses to die, as it just does. It does its grind. So let's put it on the 4 hour. We can have a look at it. As you can see, it's sort of actually, and this is one thing I actually noticed this after I finished the video the other day, but this little channel here, we hit our price target and said it was going to get smacked down. That's what happened. Came back up here. This actual candle here, this is the part that I missed to comment on, was actually a perfect little retest of the underside of this latest rising support. So as you can see, came up here, clipped the underside of it, bang, sold down again. As I've said a couple of times, it's just really in its range. It's what it does. It's really just, as you can see, all through here, up and down, up and down. This is only about 0.5%, as you can see, marked up over here. With doing exactly the same here again. And this is how I sort of planned it through the weekend, or whenever I sort of drew this one, sort of maybe mid last week, that we sort of get it back up here and then back down. And pretty much, as you can see, that was what happened. So, pull that back over there. So we're back down here, finding support. Now, it depends, are we going to break this or are we going to see this push up to the top side through here? If you look at how it has traded previously, you could say yes. I mean, you could even sort of come down a little bit lower here. We've seen supports along this lower area here be respected. We see sellers came in here, buyers came in here. So I would say, look, I wouldn't say that this little gray zone here is necessarily the major supports. I'm actually going to delete it because I don't think it'll sort of hold through here. But for the time being, that's where the sellers are sort of coming with it all. So there is a good chance that we do this. Once we sort of grind along sideways here for a bit, we've got this sort of rising support coming up through here as well. It's a very loose one of a potential sort of triangle, ascending triangle. But again, I think once we sort of break this and start to come back down into this lower zone, this is definitely where we're looking for a short-term price target around 720, which we know has been quite a sort of substantial level for the yuan. But as it is for now, look, I think it's mainly just going to be back in this sideways grind till we see a major breakdown in DXY. All right, cool. That's about it from me. Just have a quick look over what we have for the news. We have a little bit of Aussie data coming out at 11:30. Company operating profits tipped to be a little bit of a drop down there. And that's probably not going to be great for Aussie. It's only low tier news. Let me pop this across here actually. We can see it then. So we've got, operating profits here, 7.4% previously, tipped to come in at 0.9%. It's quite a big drop off there, so it gives a bit of room for it to actually disappoint and actually come in a little bit higher. So these ones with the big sort of disparities, I think that's sort of like over accounted for a big drop off here. I mean, of course, it can come in even worse, but I think if the market's theoretically priced for this kind of news, even though it's a low tier bit of news, I think that, this could obviously sort of come in a little bit better than expected. Current account, I don't really follow this, but we're seeing a bit of a tip down there. And then tonight we have JOLTS, which is the job openings in the US, tipped to come down just a little bit there. Again, lower numbers, less job openings, not a great sign for the economy. I mean, when you're not hiring, it's not because sort of like, things are going spectacular. So, as I said, it's more supportive of the idea that you might sort of be sort of relaxing sort of rate hold expectations. Tomorrow, GDP for Aussie tipped to be quarter on quarter, sitting in flat. So they're the kind of ones in the immediate to sort of keep an eye on. Apart from that, I expect a fairly subdued sort of Asia session. All right, that's it from me.